Hey everybody, welcome back to Buy Black Podcast, the voice of black business. Today I am joined by LeShelle Smith. She is the host of Minority Report TV Show.com and wonderful YouTube channel with over 1,000 subscribers, which I looked at that and I was like, I don't even know how you got there because I'm like at 20 and I'm really happy about that. But LeShelle, thank you for reaching out and thank you for joining me for the show today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's nice to collaborate with like-minded individuals. Love it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And for everybody who is in the chat, all right, this is going to be a conversation that is going to flow around some of everything. Me and LeShelle talked on the phone for about an hour and a half during our 30-minute pre-interview the other day. And we hit on so many things, especially frustrations for the two of us when it comes to trying to help promote the Buy Black movement from our different platforms and just getting people on board and everything. So I'm not going to run my mouth because LeShelle is here to talk about her brand and
Yes.
we're going to connect on some great things. LeShelle, talk to us a little bit about your background. Tell us all about you.
First of all, again, I want to say thank you for even just having me on your platform, because we know that the spirit of competition amongst Black people in everything is like exponential, whether it's sports, entertainment, fashion, whatever. So knowing that you and I do something very, very similar with your podcast and my YouTube channel, the goal, absolutely, the goal is to, get individuals to really buy in and participate in this Buy Black movement. So I'm grateful to just be on your platform to even have this discussion. So my background, again, I'm LeShelle Smith, the host of Minority Report featuring Black-owned businesses. It is a YouTube channel that celebrates Black-owned businesses. You will hear me say that consistently in every interview that I do. So that's basically, I do the same thing you do. I interview entrepreneurs, but I also review products. So I will get products in the mail or I'll, buy them when I'm out or whatnot. I'll use them sometimes a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, and then I report back to you. I'm a writer, but I also, do videos as well. So you can go to my website, minorityreporttvshow.com, and you will see my blog with a number of different articles. I've reviewed plays, I've reviewed books, I've reviewed items, but then I also feature entrepreneurs on that side of my platform as well. Some people don't interview well. Some people are not comfortable being on camera. So I will do like a Q&A style interview with them and feature them in a written blog post. And then others who are ready, like, yeah, turn camera on. Let's go. Let's get it,
Yeah.
with microphone and everything. And they're ready. So I do both. How I even got into doing this was investigating poverty in my local community. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, capital of Pennsylvania, not well known whatsoever.
Mm.
Like where I'm from, you're either from Philly or Pittsburgh, period.
Yep.
So, but but PA is the cap. I mean, Harrisburg is the capital of PA. That's where I'm from. And I was a part of an initiative in where I'm from, and we investigated poverty, and we looked at the different aspects of poverty. We looked at situational poverty. We looked at generational poverty. We looked at, different circumstances where it's grandmother, mother, me living in poverty. We looked at circumstances where, I was married with a 2-income household and my partner died and the bills are now on me. Or I've been able to do it on my own and, I had a family member fall ill and now it's all on me. And those types of situations that will, put you into poverty. But the one thing that kept coming up in this program that I was in, it was a 16-week program. The one conversation that we kept having were the systemic issues, the social issues. Why is it so hard to either find employment or start a business? And when we would have that kind of dialogue, every group that I was in, the anger and the frustration was there about how their communities are being redlined, their communities are being gentrified, and the opportunities for them to grow their own businesses were simply not there.
Right.
And, it just evolved from there, knowing that if I want to see strength in my community, if I want to see buy-in in my community, if I want to see community policing, all of those things, higher education, access to healthcare, all of those things cost. And we have to learn how to count the cost. And our business owners are just as a part of the problem as they are the solution. So from that point on, it just grew to saying, hey, the Black community really needs to get more involved in this quote unquote buy Black movement. I mean, we're central to it. But we really need to support our businesses so that those businesses can grow, so that those businesses can then hire, so those businesses can be involved in the legislative process. But they can't grow if we don't support them. So there has to be more media outlets that give our Black owned businesses the exposure that they need. So yes, it's great to be in Essence, and yes, it's great, to be on TV1 and BET, and, it's great. But we talked about this before, those advertising dollars, like it costs. Those things cost. It costs to promote your business, in Essence. Everybody don't have the money to go to Essence Fest and be a vendor. So for me and you, us smaller media platforms, we have the opportunity to work with those smaller businesses to help them and be a voice for them. So that's what my platform is all about. And from talking to you, I understand that's what you are passionate about. And that's why Gerald's in my tribe, y'all.
Yeah, it has been a labor of love, and everything that you just said, I mirror that 100%, because it's so frustrating you see the writing on the wall, you see exactly how we could get there, but then trying to get people on board to take it there with you is very, very hard to do. You just mentioned something about us smaller media outlets and getting those smaller businesses, and my immediate thought was, we need to get the community behind us on the intent of making us able to compete with an Essence, right? Without having all that money, just saying, hey, your readership Essence is however many millions. LeShelle's viewership is however many hundreds of thousands, and Gerald's listenership is however many hundreds of thousands. And businesses, you could go over here and you could pay a bunch of money to be on Essence, or you could come over to us and either get free advertising or very low cost advertising with access to almost as big a group of people and continuing to grow. And so I think that's another big part of what I've been missing is messaging it to people in that way of, the bigger you help us grow, the more businesses will be able to help and promote for free, and the value of that grows, because if you got 100,000 subscribers to your YouTube channel, and a business gets to come and be on your YouTube channel,
absolutely,
that's as good as paying money to go out and be in Essence or something like that. But it takes the community to help us grow to that point, and to see that that's growth in the community's interest and not necessarily just our interests. I wanted to ask you real quick, if you don't mind, going back, talking about the communities that in your area, and you talked about redlining, which a lot of people have heard about redlining, and how that affected the Black community over a period, but a lot of us really don't know exactly what it means and where it comes from. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that? Like, what is redlining, and how has that affected Black economics in the community?
First of all, what I would like to say is, when people watch us, we are educating, but we're also entertaining at the same time. So we don't have, like staff, right? So if you watch like a Roland Martin, or I could name 100 other people, and they're like rolling off these stats, that's because they have like 10 staff people who are doing all this research for them. Right. Me and you, like, we have to constantly stay knowledgeable and obtain the information for ourselves. And I think that is just one thing that is absolutely undervalued, right? So when we're talking about getting the information and knowing what redlining means, I mean, municipalities, local governments, at one point in time, and still in practice today, now this goes back to what we were talking about, systemic poverty, they have a habit of basically sectioning off neighborhoods and shuffling Black people or shuffling poor people into those neighborhoods. And those neighborhoods have food deserts. Those neighborhoods are not appropriately zoned for commercial, real estate. So even if I wanted to go in and say, hey, this place has this 10 blocks doesn't have a grocery store, local municipalities, like, intentionally, purposely will not zone specific areas so that I could put a grocery store there.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the basic definition of or description of what I could tell you redlining is. Ta-Nehisi Coates, I mean, my girlfriend put me onto him a couple years ago because that's another thing. I did not graduate from college until 2014. So
You
for
beat
4
me
years,
by 2 years because I got mine done in 2016.
boom. See, there's what I'm talking about. So like for about a 4 year period, I was lost in the world. I had no idea what was going on because I'm focused. So once I did graduate, I'm saying to her, okay, what I've been missing, who are our thought leaders now? Who should I be reading, watching, listening to? And she told me about him. And about 2 or 3 years ago, he wrote an amazing article for the Atlantic about redlining. So if you got Google, I know you got it. I'm going to encourage you to Google that article. And he's talking about redlining. And if I can remember correctly, the community he was talking about specifically was in Chicago.
Okay.
And that will give you a broader sense of just how damaging redlining can be. But it has a huge impact on our dollars because part of that whole redlining process is so that smaller businesses can't compete with the larger businesses, so that I can't open my mom and pop, 5 and 10 grocery store because outside of those 10 blocks is a Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And they want everybody who lives in that red line community, they want them to travel to that Walmart instead of allowing me to be a local supplier. So that's just one way of how our communities with predominantly Black and brown people are disenfranchised and absolutely oppressed, period, point blank.
Yeah.
And that's why it is so important to support a Black-owned business when you can. Now, given, the community that you live in, the community that I live in, we don't necessarily live in large, metropolises where there's scores and scores of Black people and scores of Black-owned businesses. That is what makes our platform so important, because there ain't but one Philly and one Chicago and one Atlanta and one Oakland, and between Detroit and these other Baltimores, and between the major cities where Black people populate, right, are other Black people in the middle of West by God, East by Jesus, where there are no Black-owned businesses. So they need platforms like us to tell them, oh, hey, go online and this is where you can get, Pampers for your baby, batteries, boxers, shoes, all kinds of other services, where you can go to get a Black accountant, or where you can go to get a Black lawyer, or we are the ones who are really speaking to those other smaller communities where, it's 25% Black people or 15% Black people.
If
that.
Absolutely. So another thing that has bothered me, it just on this whole thing about buying Black and understanding the importance of it. Back in the day, which I believe it was a Wednesday, right? Before 1964, before the Civil Rights Act, right? We had Black-owned businesses. We had entrepreneurship. We had ownership in our communities. It was by requirement, because we couldn't shop anywhere else, right?
Absolutely.
Like there may be, one or two white-owned stores that we could go to the back door of, and we could put in our order for what we want, and we'd get the leftovers of the moldy food or whatever, and we could, pay them more money for less service. But other than that, we had to buy in our own communities. So then Civil Rights Act happens, and suddenly, when everybody can buy anywhere, it becomes a sign of status as a Black person to say, I don't have to shop over there. I could shop where the white folks is at. Absolutely. How much of that is still affecting us today?
What?
I already know the answer to the question, but I know it's gonna get you going.
Listen, right? It's gonna get me going. See, this is how you talk to me for an hour and a half. You think you know me, but I mean, it's clearly the white man's ice is still colder. Mm. Clearly, to this day, the white man's ice is still colder, to the degree where you have nations that are still bleaching their skin, and you have people who are willing to perpetrate a fraud, and they are are happily wearing replica knockoff Gucci, Fendi, Chanel, Kate Spade, and all these other white people names. The white man's ice is still colder, period. And even with our black business owners, let's pull the veil completely off. Our black business owners will go and buy Gucci too. Now, online it's buy black, buy black, buy back. But then when you see them in person, they carrying a Louis Vuitton bag. And so, I mean, that's a whole nother stigma too. They don't like our talented 10, those who have made it, whether it's in business or, real estate or entertainment or whatever else. They don't buy black themselves. Facts.
Where is my tea? Somebody give me my tea.
Yeah, that's another thing. I try to, attend different events and functions, so forth and so on, that are centered around this buy black movement. But yeah, I see the other content creators, the other, hair care product moguls or whatnot, and they dripping in Gucci from head to toe, dripping in Louis Vuitton from head to toe. And it's like, okay, yes, we see, you've made it, and they all have, these background stories. Some are hard knock stories, some aren't. But yeah, they don't buy black themselves. So, I mean, we have a whole lot of in-house cleaning to do, a whole lot.
Right.
And I don't like to call people sellouts. I don't like that term. I don't like to call people coons. I don't like that term. Like, I just don't. Because at the end of the day, buy what you want to buy.
Right.
I'm all here for it. But you gotta walk this thing out. You gotta be authentic when you're saying, yes, I'm down for the buy black movement, and I'm all for the, buy black, sell to everybody. That's what Dr. Claude Anderson said, author of Powernomics,
yep.
And a number of other books that talk about cooperative economics, talks about black economics. That's what he says. That's, what I've adopted. That's what I believe. Buy black, sell to everybody else. But he means that, like, you got to put the buy black part in there, and make that a priority. Sometimes they just buy from within their little cliques. Like, we have some internal housekeeping to do when it comes to getting people on board and really, really supporting the buy black movement, period.
Yep. So I wanted to read something real quick from the chat. Ron said, our community missed on bank ownership and media ownership. Black folk generating revenue that is deposited into white banks is malpractice. Black folk relying on white media to tell truthful, authentic info is malpractice. Now, talking about that, bank ownership, media ownership, and then you just brought up Dr. Claude Anderson. Now, I'm going to quickly ask this question just to figure out where you are on that.
Okay.
Did you learn about Dr. Anderson and Powernomics before you built your platform, or did you find out about his 5 levels of control after you'd already built your platform?
Before.
Okay.
So
did it inspire you to do it?
Anybody who has not read anything from Dr. Claude Anderson is definitely missing out. Mm-hmm. What I would say is it definitely, for me, it was in alignment with what I was feeling and what I was seeing in my own community, but I wasn't able to capture it in the way that he was.
Okay.
So I was just like, okay, I now I don't feel like I'm crazy. Okay, so there is someone else who sees what else is going on and like has some sort of plan or has, like can actually point us in a certain, direction. Not to say that he has all of the answers, but he's definitely got a blueprint.
Yes, that blueprint is what matters.
The blueprint is what he definitely has a blueprint, and the blueprint is what matters. So getting more people to really adopt the principles, to really consider applying the blueprint, would make so much more of a difference. And, just even using the phrase or using the term malpractice, I absolutely agree. I wrote a blog post about the account that I have with One United, which is an online bank. They actually have physical locations. But again, those physical locations
don't happen to be in Harrisburg, PA.
They don't happen to be in Harrisburg. Boston, Miami, Oakland, where there's other colored people. But for Harrisburg, PA, Omaha, Nebraska, there is no, there is no black bank. Right. So we have to, we have to be able to take risks, like, in a lot, when it comes to supporting, businesses, particularly when it comes to banking and media. If I see some, like, we've already lost the BET, and then the other media outlet, we got Bounce and Aspire and some other ones, people all in an uproar because Netflix didn't want to pay for the Get Down and a couple of other original programming for black people, but they spent $100 million to keep streaming Friends. Listen, if you do your research when it comes to media, you'll find that there are multiple other streaming services. Quality TV is one. American Legacy Network is another one. Black on Purpose is another one. Black and Sexy TV is another one. It's like, we want everything handed to us. We want the revolution handed to us. It's not going to happen like that. Like, yes. We absolutely have to be involved, or you're committing malpractice yourself.
Right.
Plain
Agreed.
and simple.
So before we go forward, I want to real quick, for the folks in the audience who may not yet have heard enough about the 5 levels of control, just to understand what we're talking about. So Dr. Claude Anderson, he theorizes that there are 5 levels of control that any group of people must own in order for that group of people to be free. And if you don't own these 5 things for yourself, you can't call yourself a free people. The first level is economics. Do you control your own ability to create wealth, or does somebody else give that power to you and tell you how much wealth you can create? Second is politics. Do you control the policies in your communities, or the people who write policies in your communities? Or are you just voting for people and hoping that they're going to keep promises that they never do? Right. The third level is justice. If you don't control the politics and you don't have the money to influence, you are not going to be able to get justice. That's why it's so very easy for us to even have body cameras on police officers, see 100% the officer was in the wrong, the person didn't have a weapon, the person wasn't even a threat, they killed him anyway, and then they go to court and the jury says, yep, nope.
Oh wait, even if it gets to court, let's back up.
Yeah, if they even get indicted, right?
Right.
They still go to court and the jury says, nope, I would have done that. That's good. And there's no judicial repercussions. Why? Right. Because we don't have the money or the political influence to make a problem for the people who decide to look us in the eye and say, yep, I could totally see that was wrong. Don't care. They're free. There's nothing we can do about it except go out and riot or march at this point, because we don't control those 3 levels. Now, the next 2 levels are the pinnacle of what me and LeShelle are here talking about today.
Absolutely.
Level 4 is media, image. If you don't control the media outlets where your own image is being presented, then you can't consider yourself to be a free people. So if all that people see of black folks is the sports players who are owned by white owners, or the media personalities who are owned by white record or recording labels, and they're going to put out a product that's going to sell the most of whatever, and they're going to allow those people who they've either owned or rented, basically who they're paying, to put out a certain image. And that image is what they choose of black people. Until we own our own media platforms and we decide how people are going to see blackness from our perspective, we can't consider ourselves to be free. That's what these new media and small media and YouTube channels and podcasts, that's what it's all about. Nobody comes and tells me, Gerald, your version of blackness has to be this, 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 or this, or we're not going to pay you anymore.
Absolutely.
This comes out of my pocket. I do this, right? It's my message. LeShelle, same thing. It's your message. And the highest level, number 5, is education. If you don't have the ability to teach your next generation your history, your culture, your view of how the world came to be what it is today, from your perspective, you are not a free people. If the only history, if the only culture that your children learn is from the perspective of somebody else, that somebody else is your oppressor. and you are owned, you are still not a free people. And so the whole point of Dr. Anderson's 5 levels of control is we have to take control of our economics first, because it is economics that we use to wield political power. It is political power that we use in order to demand justice. And it is our media platforms, and it is our control of education, our own schools, that is going to help us to change our image over the long term through our own media, and to change our reality for our children over the long term, because we are the ones educating them, right? Like you said, LeShelle, it's a blueprint. All the answers aren't in that very simple structure, but it's a blueprint for the future. So I wanted to just get that out there for everybody listening, because that's the frame in which we're building our platforms.
Right. I mean, if we could just cover those 5 things alone, first off, whoever is watching this, if you're not hosting a watch party, I'm probably going to fight you in public, because you need to get this. You need to get this information. Like, seriously, you gotta share this, like, right now. Like, invite people into this conversation, because everything that Gerald just said is just so powerful. Those 5 things alone. Do you know, like, we could flip tables right now with just those 5 levels alone. My professional background, I used to work at a lobbying firm, so I find myself in conversations, very heated conversations, over whether voting matters, the electoral college, and so forth and so on. I am here to tell you, having worked at a lobbying firm, seeing day in and day out, from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, people walking into the establishment where I work and getting their needs met because they vote. And because they had the economic means to hire a lobbyist that would get them in front of the legislator, who with their dollars, they could sway to do whatever it is that they wanted them to do. Whether it was, like, I worked at a bipartisan firm. So we were on both sides of the aisle. For abortion, against abortion, for healthcare, against healthcare, for this, for that, against this, against that. And I mean, it just ran the gamut of everything, from gun control to stop signs.
So this is a firm that was selling their access to the highest bidder. Didn't matter what side.
Didn't matter what side. And people, and everyday people, whether they were with corporations who were willing to move into our area, but they wanted particular tax rebates or tax abatements or whatever else, to, Fraternal Order of Police, just saying that, we want our unions to be protected. So forth. Like, it's real. Like, the money that happens in politics, it goes beyond what you even could think, dream, or imagine. It's nothing like, what they teach you in high school U.S. history. It's beyond that. Political administration, public administration, it's a game, and you got to have money to play the game.
Absolutely.
Our community doesn't have the dollars to play the game, because we don't have any major corporations. And then when we do establish major corporations, we sell them. And this is why we can't get ahead, because we don't have those 5 pillars. We don't have those 5 things that Dr. Claude Anderson is saying. These are just the basics.
Right.
These are just the basics. Like, I seen on Twitter today, another historically Black college is losing their accreditation. But then you have our scholars and our thought leaders who don't want to go and teach at historically Black colleges, and I've heard them say that. We got a lot of in-house cleaning to do.
Right.
Like, it's a lot. We got to work, within our own people, and it's going to take the voices of, like, me and like you and the others who are saying, support Black-owned businesses, support them.
You know what's sad is that I just recently read The Miseducation of the Negro, and that book is from the 1930s. And you could read that book today and say, oh,
it's still relevant.
Okay, so nothing has changed.
Nothing.
Cool.
The only thing that really has changed is, we can ride on the bus and sit wherever we want, but we paying triple now.
Right, but looking at it from the perspective of,
and we're paying triple for it now.
That's it. But from the perspective of that book alone, like, obviously it's a historical book, it's this and the other, but there was one thing I took out of that book when it talked about the miseducation. The one thing that really got me was when he was talking about the Black child goes off to college to get a degree to go and work in a system that was never meant for them to work in the first place. So
Absolutely.
you want to go be a lawyer so that you can go and work in this legal system that was never meant for you to succeed. You want to go be a doctor, but then you're not actually going to get paid what other doctors get paid because people don't want you to be a doctor. And then you look at the white child will go and instead of I got to be a doctor, I got to be a lawyer, I got to be some professional thing, you have somebody say, "Hey, so my mom has been cleaning people's clothes her entire life. I'm going to go and I'm going to go into chemical engineering, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to take the knowledge my mom has on cleaning and I'm going to take my chemical engineering background and we are going to start a dry cleaning company and we're going to grow that based on their experience and my education, and now we are a dry cleaning conglomerate, right?" Or my dad was an auto mechanic. I'm going to go and I'm going to get a degree in engineering, and then we are going to build a company based on my parents' experience and my education. And so that's how empires are built, right?
Right.
But the black family, even though we have parents and grandparents who have done all of these labor intensive jobs, they have 50 years worth of skill. But then as a child, we go and we want to get as far away from our parents as possible, as opposed to saying, what education can I get that I can build on top of the skill and then create a business for our family that takes 50 years worth of experience, ties it in with the new world education, and then now we can start building our empire. That I think that was only in one chapter where he really talked about that.
Right.
But to me, like, that was the crux of the whole thing. If we can remember how powerful it is when you take experience and education and you put them together, and you can do that generationally, the same way that you can build generational wealth, you can build off generational education and experience.
Absolutely. Problem is, we want to go from education and experience to wealth in one lifetime.
Yeah.
And most times that's not how it happens. So it's like, and I've literally heard people say this, like, I'm not working so that my kid can be rich. I want to be rich now. And I'm going to give my kid whatever I can give my kid now. And when they become an adult, they're on their own, which, I mean, it's hard to hear, but it's very much a reality because life is short. There was an article either earlier this year or last year that a study basically saying that it would take 223 years for, just one black person to acquire like any type of wealth in comparison to a number of other people. And we've seen these kinds of studies before. 223 years sounds like a long time. Between now and 65, when I retire, that sounds like a long time.
Right.
So in our mindset, within our community, it's get whatever I can get now because life is short. So I totally understand that. We make a lot of jokes about what people do with their income tax. They go and buy hair and they buy clothes and they don't put money into a Roth IRA. And, we make a lot of jokes about that.
Right.
But life is really real. Okay. I mean, really real. So if you've gone all year long and you haven't been able to buy, your kids new shoes, or you need a new car, or you need new furniture, we tend to shame people for that. We shame people we make jokes, we make memes, we shame people for that. So given the fact that we shame our own people, no wonder they're not taking education and experience and building empires.
Right.
It's just like, okay, well, I can't win for losing. If I try to build, I can barely get somebody to watch watch my video or listen to my podcast or retweet, a promotion that I'm having, let alone build an empire. Right. So I might as well go out here and instead of taking that $300 and investing into building a business, I might as well go buy some Jordans. Why not?
So just real quick, and then I'm going to ask you some more questions about your answer for getting people to buy black. But So real quick, I had a quick thought from what I've seen. And this is of course anecdotal, right? But if the grandfather was a worker, the father went to school to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to enhance that experience.
Right.
And they built the business.
Right.
And then the son, which would be like the grandson,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, that's the person who went and got the business degree.
Right.
And took the business and took it and
To the
actually
next level.
grew it to the
Right.
next level to where it became an empire, right? So you're talking 3 generations, right? If we could at the very least, and you're not going to get everybody, right? But if we could start getting at least a reasonable number of people to start thinking 3 generations deep, right? Combine the skill with the education here between these 2 generations, build your business. And then maybe you don't have to wait till the 3rd generation. Maybe once that business is going, somebody who already exists, a cousin or uncle or somebody who has the business background comes in and you start building. But it's basically 3 levels deep. I need physical experience, I need education, and then I need business acumen. If you can get those 3 things going at the same time or over a short period of time, you can start building an empire. That said, that just kind of came to my head. I didn't want to lose it. I want to talk about specifically your Black Love gift guide, because getting people to buy from Black-owned businesses, as you probably know, and as we have been talking about, is so very frustrating. Even when I am standing in front of people wearing my shoes made from a Black-owned company, and I'm telling them how comfortable they are, how dope they are, how I love wearing them. I got 3 pair. My wife has 3 pair. We're spending money on these things, and it's not buy it because it's black. Buy it because it's good. It looks good, right? And you'll get a discount because you're associated with me. And guess what? Some of that money goes to help other people, so you're doing good for the community.
Right.
And even when you're doing that, I get the emails. They're like, oh my God, you're doing such great work. Oh, I love this. Oh, this is great, blah, 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 blah. And I go to my business owner, and I'm like, so how many sales did you get? Still waiting on that first one, aside from the ones that you bought. And I'm like,
that you bought. Right.
So cracking that nut, figuring out how do you get people to buy black is so hard. But you've got a solution. I want to believe it's the solution. Talk to us about the ultimate Black Love gift guide.
Okay. As you said before, doing what it is that you do, doing what I do, absolutely is a labor of love, right? So we see hashtag Black Love everywhere, Black Love Experience, Black Love Galas. And we kind of focus on just, those romantic relationships. But my focus is, there are 5 tenets to Black Love Day. There's an actual day. I interviewed a woman by the name of Ayo Handy Kendi. She is the founder and creator of the African American Holiday Association. I interviewed her. You can find the interview on my YouTube channel. And we really had an in-depth discussion about the importance of Black holidays, our own festivals, our own celebrations, things of that nature, our home holidays, and just how important, Malcolm X Day is, and Kwanzaa and Jubilee Day and Juneteenth, and including Black Love Day. And she gave me her blessing to use Black Love Day as pretty much like a launching pad into what I created as this coupon book. Every year, February 13th is Black Love Day. It's the day before Valentine's Day. 5 tenets of Black love: love for the creator, love for self, love for community, love for the Black race. And every year on Black Love Day, I come out with the ultimate Black Love gift guide. It is a coupon book. It is a PDF download. It is only $3.99. And there are multiple businesses in it, and they all are offering a discount. And the discount is valid for 1 year. So you have an entire year to use 70 different coupons to try businesses you've never heard of before, making an investment in them so that they can, grow the empires that you're talking about, get new equipment, upgrade, create new lines, hire people, things of that nature. I don't want to say it's the solution to getting buy-in, but for the most part, I have to continue to talk about these brands to say, okay, hey, you like Ralph Lauren, you like Levi's, you like this brand or that brand. And I am aware because I've done my research and I'm on social media and I'm searching day in and day out for Black owned businesses. And I know that this brand is comparable. I really just engage in word of mouth marketing. We've heard this over and over and over again. If you had a bad experience, you're going to tell 1,000 people. If you've had a good experience, you're only going to tell one or two.
Yep.
I am telling you, I have tried this product. These are the attributes of the product. This is what it does. This is what it doesn't. If you like this, then you might want to try this product. If you have this kind of issue, this product might not be well for you. I'm a very honest product reviewer. I am not just saying, hey, go and buy this because it's Black owned. No. And there are brands who wanted to be featured on my platform, and I've told them no, because they need to develop it a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't do multi-level marketing programs. So I don't do the waist shapers, the teas, the diet pills. Like I don't do those. I don't feature them. I don't encourage them. I don't support them, not because they're bad or anything like that, but I want people to have their own established businesses, not this I don't want to call it a pyramid scheme, but not where you're basically working for somebody else, because I've done the Mary Kay. I've sold Mary Kay. I've sold Avon. I don't do that. Other brands that have tried to reach out to me that want to work with me that don't even have websites. I'm like, do you know how much it costs to get an e-commerce website? Build up your brand, so because I want to be able to present you in the best light possible.
Right.
I am not going to say, hey, go talk to Keisha. She sells earrings, but you gotta hit her up in her inbox to get the earrings.
Yeah.
We have to continue to function and operate in a spirit of excellence. And I promise you, the businesses that I have listed in my Black-owned business coupon book, these are businesses that I've vetted. For the most part, I've talked to these people either on the phone or via email. And they are worth your dollars. They're worth your encouragement. They're worth your support. And if you are leery about trying said business or trying said product, that's what the coupon is for. That's what it's for. If you're, leery about paying $30 for a t-shirt, here's a coupon for 15% off.
Yep.
If you're leery about, this brand and what it represents and, the quality of the product, here's a 20% off coupon. At least try it. And then if you do try it, tell somebody else about it. Do that. If you're not going to buy, people are really confused about this whole social media thing, because you'll go to a brand's page and they'll have 10,000, they'll have 100,000 followers, and they not making no money, boo. Trust me when I tell you. People go on social media and they like their little pictures, they double tap and they share it. Hee ha ha. We like to be entertained. We like pretty pictures and stock photos. We like that kind of stuff. But are they buying it? I know from, the ladies that I've talked to and the men that I've talked to in these groups, they got followers, but they don't have patrons. Yeah. They don't have customers. They're not making money. So it takes people like me and you to say, yes, this product is awesome. Yes, I've bought 2 and 3 pairs of these shoes. Yes, I've worn them. Yes, I've worn them out. Yes, I've bought a new pair. We have to create that buzz. We have to be able to say, this product is comparable. It's probably made in the same manufacturing facility as some of the other things that you have or that you like. We have to continue to just press upon people. So that's what I want to do. I've created this coupon book so that individuals no longer have an excuse to say, oh, well, this product costs too much, or I don't know anyone else who uses it. That excuse is dead. Because if you follow my platform, then you know that I've used the product, you know that I've tried the product, and I've told you exactly how it works, how well it works, what it does for you, where you can get it, and I've also given you a discount.
Yeah, what else can you do?
What else can you do?
Is it just products, or do you have service-based businesses in the coupon book as well?
I have service-based businesses as well. So for those entrepreneurs who are saying, this is a term that I use a lot. My kitchen chemists, okay? My girls that are in the kitchen, literally smashing mangoes in shea butter so that your hair can be popping. Those individuals, if they're willing to, take their brand to the next level, or, I have an individual right now who's offering a discount to help you build your own podcast. This is a service that he provides. He's offering a discount. I have another woman who will do all of your branding for you. Website, flyers, business cards, things of that nature. Will brand you on all of your social media platforms. She's offering a discount. So there are, products in there. It's books, it's hair care, it's skin care, it's fashion, it's shoes, it's home decor. But yes, there are B2B, business to business services that are also in the coupon book.
Yeah. So I've got another question on that, but I wanted to. Ron keeps dropping these gems in the chat. So
come through, Ron.
When he was talking about the generational idea we talked about earlier, he just said, I see this in banking all day. White folks understand beyond their own narcissistic views. Their narcissism is in their last name, not their first name.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a really important thing that we in the Black community need to get back to, is understanding the value of that last name. You heard it a few years ago. People say it all the time, hustle for your last name, not your first. But I don't know why we stopped saying that, or maybe people just didn't understand what it meant. But that's really what it is. Building generationally, building so that that next generation has. The question I was going to ask you, since you do have products and services inside the book. Now, obviously, the Ultimate Black Love Gift Guide from last year is still good today, all the way through February 12th of 2019. But if we have some folks in the audience now who have service-based businesses or product-based businesses, how do they get their business into next year's Black Love Gift Guide? Because I'm going to assume that just because you got 70 businesses today, that don't mean you want 70 next year.
No, every year, I'm on the grind to do better than I did the year before. People have been buying the Ultimate Black Love Gift Guide, and then I follow up with them and I reach out to them and I say, hey, because they're buying my product, but I can't force them to use the coupon. Mm-hmm. So I have to follow up with people. I go through my sales receipts and I got to follow up with people and I say, hey, did you use the coupon book? Did you find value in it? Was it, something that wasn't in the book that you want to see next year? Because I want to try to make it better and I want to serve as many people as possible. So I'm looking for children's toys. I'm looking for plus size clothing. I'm looking for more products for men. I'm looking for definitely more B2B services. I'm definitely looking for coaches. I'm looking for authors. I'm looking for books. I'm looking for, transportation. Because trust and believe me, if you're riding with me right now, you get ready to go on a journey. Because it's not going to stop here at this coupon book. I have other things going on behind the scenes where there's going to be, additional platforms. I actually created a separate website specifically for the coupon book. If you're interested in being a guest on my platform, or if you're interested in me reviewing your product, you can always visit me at www.minorityreporttvshow.com. But if you're interested in being in the Ultimate Black Love Gift Guide, then you want to go to www.bobcouponbook.com. There's a link on there and it gives you a complete list of every business that's participating in the current guide. And then there's also a link for you to submit your business if you want to be in the next issue. You have to get your submission in before December 31st because I got my graphic design people working on putting this thing together and I got to get all the information to them. So the graphics, your tagline, your social media networks, all of that. I got to hyperlink this thing because this year's print and last year's were PDF downloads.
Okay.
Moving into 2019, it'll also be a physical book this year. So 2019, this year will be the first time that I've actually done a physical book because I decided, you know what, I'm really just going to hit these streets in 2019. So you will see me at pop-up events, vendor events with physical copies of the book, but you can also still download it.
Okay. And looking at, words just left my head. I was going to say them and then they left. They're gone. I'm going to find new words about different things than what I was going to say a second ago. All right. Going to crap. It's gone for real. So we're going to talk about something else completely and then we'll come back to it because another thing that we talked about that was completely not on the subject of black businesses and supporting black businesses, and yet it's everything about the way the black community works. We have been having a lot of conversation about men folk and women folk in the black community and our the frustrations between us, the power struggles between us, and what it looks like when we're functioning at our best collectively as a community. So, in the spirit of talking about these 5 levels of control and us kind of turning all these 5 fingers into a fist so that we can make one big impact, what are some of the things that you've seen when it comes to the Black community, how we function it, and how we need to function if we're going to come together and make this thing happen?
Like we said when we were talking, the ladies we just run things, period. We just run this world. The men are the head, as they should be. That's just my personal belief. I'm not like a feminist by any stretch of the imagination. I still want to see men in positions of leadership and power because physically we need them. The women, we can be in the boardroom, classrooms, and everywhere else, but we need men as a covering. Plain and simple. You can be the head, but trust and believe me, the females, our tribe, we the neck. And we gonna turn the head to the left, to the right, stay centered, stay focused. And I think that's something that we're starting to lack a little bit of. We're starting to become more divided, and we need to come together as much as possible. I am starting to see a lot more media platforms that are talking about Black families, Black relationships, men as fathers. Like, we are really starting to really dismiss this entire dialogue that men aren't fathers, they're not in their children's lives. That is starting to be displaced. But when it comes to getting this money, the women, we just everywhere.
Absolutely.
We're doing it all, and tech,
Black women are killing it in entrepreneurship, period. I mean, period. More than white men, white women, any other race, men or women, Black men. When you look at the numbers of new entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, rising percentages of entrepreneurs, it is Black women who are in the space. Absolutely. I don't have a question to follow that up. I'm just co-signing. I'm going to hand it back to you.
No, I mean, we're running this, and we need Black men to support us, plain and simple. We need you to support us in what it is that we're doing. We need you to advocate for us. We need you to speak for us. And in turn, Black women need to do the same. When we see our brothers out there and they're detailing cars or selling bottled water or cutting hair or whatever they're doing that's entrepreneurial, like, we need to support that too. Like, it has to go hand in hand. And if there's two people in a relationship and they both have an entrepreneurial spirit, we need to encourage y'all to stay together. Encourage y'all to stay together.
Yeah.
We don't need any more broken homes. But we out here, we getting married, we're building businesses, we're encouraging our children to build businesses. The babies is out here, they selling candles, lemonade, lip gloss, they're doing it. So it's like, if we can pull all of them together, right, that would just be we'd be unstoppable, period.
Yeah, so Ron again with the hits. Yes, he
Ron's
said
our tribe now.
It is we should, if we could get a third person up here, Ron would be killing it. So he said it's hard to build households when the mama's last name is Banks, kid 1 is Williams, kid 2 is Parker, kid 3 is Johnson, and the dad is Johnson. Loyalties are split up. And you talked about that, bringing the family together and staying together so that we can build generationally. From my perspective, what I've seen, and this is just kind of through observation of my life, and in my growth as a kid all the way up on both sides of my family, what I saw was that the women basically formed this collective brain. And that brain was all based around both experience and intuition.
Absolutely.
And when the women in the family all were of an accord and picked a direction, like you said, the neck, and the men, rather than trying to say, I'm the man, I'm in control, I'm driving this, the men just listen and say, where do we need to go? Cool. I'm going to head us and I'm going to get us there, right?
Right.
I saw that work on both sides of my family growing up, and it just has always been in me that Black women are the core of our society. We are a matriarchal people, as we were talking. All right. So what was I saying? Words. Oh, all right. So I'm just gonna get back into it. That way, we can finish the recording and I can go back and edit and all that kind of stuff. What was I saying? Matriarchal. Yes. So we were talking about the issues between black men and black women running stuff, which is true, and black men typically being kind of resentful of that is what we're kind of seeing out in the world. But
are they really resentful? Are y'all resentful?
I mean, I
need to hear it.
I'm not, but I see it on the timelines all the time. I mean, just woman bashing, man bashing, and it is entirely unnecessary. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But what I've seen from the male perspective is that we want so desperately to function like that European patriarchal individualistic model, because that's what all of the United States is built on, right? It's individual responsibility and personal this, that, and the other, and I can do it all myself, even though nobody ever did it by themselves, right?
Absolutely.
But that works for them, right? And when I say them, I mean specifically like people from a European background,
right,
that or specifically the that English, the Anglo-Saxon background, is the man is the patriarch, and they have a patriarchal society, and every individual is this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And so when black men try to function that way, because we want to have that kind of control and power in our relationships, in our community, that's where the breakdowns happen, because we did not come from that, right? However much slavery did to break down our culture, it did not break our tie to the matriarchal, collectivist people that we are naturally. And from my life, when I've seen black people working at our best, it's been when there are black women collectively who are working together and who are choosing a direction, using their intuition, using their collective brain. And then the black men are looking at that and saying, where are we going? Great. We're going to get us there. And you don't have to be in control to be the head, right? And I think that we spend so much of our time angry and upset that black women don't, quote unquote, need us. But it's that black women don't need us to be the thing that we weren't meant to be, right? They need us to be the thing we were meant to be, which is we are powerful, right? We are authoritative. Just the when a black man is anywhere in any group of people, everyone else around is intimidated. There's a reason for that. It's not because we're bad or mean or intimidating people. It's because our existence is power, right? Is powerful, and people are intimidated by that. They're also drawn to it. We lead very easily and effortlessly, but we need to make sure that we're leading in the right direction. And that's the thing that we don't, that's not our natural place in our culture, is to choose the direction. That's what women are great at. And so from what I've seen, when we know our roles and also know the fact that our roles are not the same as what the European individualist roles should be, when we talk about gender roles, we work much better. What do you think about that? What do you think about any of it?
You're married, so you get it. Period, point blank. You get it. You have, because you're a married man, you have a significant other who sees your blind spots, who knows how to make the rough things in your life smooth. And she does it in a way that does not make you feel like you're less than a man. So because you have someone in your life who is allowing you to lead, and she's encouraging you from behind, you get it. And you're not going to fight or buck up against it. It's going to take men like you to encourage the other men to simply trust us. Like, those of us women who continue to want men to lead, we're not nagging. That's the thing. Like, you think that we're nagging or we're trying to control you. No, if we're driving along and we're being submissive because we're submitting to your mission and we're going along and you haven't quite told us where we're going to question you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because more than likely, the road ahead, there's a detour that can either get us there quicker, or there's a pothole that you don't see, or there's somebody in your blind spot that you have no idea is there. And we are trying to inform you that trouble's ahead, period. We're not trying to control you. But again, you know that because you're married, mm-hmm. and you get it, and you value the significance of your wife and how she holds you down. It's going to take men like you to get the other men in line and get them to understand that they don't have a reason to be insecure. The women are leading now because we don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. Most of the women that I know, I want to say 99.99% of the women that I know, are fully aware that the black man has been displaced. And we know the reasons why. We know exactly when it happened. We know what administration it was. We know what laws were put in place. We know. We can't continue to allow you to blame us because we were set up to move ahead and you were left behind. Mm-hmm. Again, it's a divide and conquer thing. And y'all seem to be falling for it. You know what I mean? Like, black men are gay, y'all in jail, y'all got habits, y'all got hang-ups. And that's not excluding the men who've gone on to go to college, start businesses, got themselves together, 401ks, top of the line credit. We're not talking about y'all. Y'all, those guys who have themselves together, that look good on paper, have these great resumes, you're not a commodity. You're a rarity. So for every one guy that has himself together, it's 12 other women going after this one guy. Only one of the 12 is going to get him. The other 11, they don't have no choice but to be a boss. Yeah. You don't have a choice. Just like you're trying to survive, we're trying to survive. We don't want to be overly independent. I don't think God created women to be independent. We were created to be dependent on you. Mm-hmm. Not in a way that, we just simply can't function without you, but in a way, like I said, that allows you to lead and allows us to follow. Even though we have our own independent strengths, we're supposed to be able to use your strengths plus my strength so that we can be strong together. But it's just like, we know that y'all got left behind. We know that y'all were put out of the house so that we could have benefits for our kids. We know all of this, mm-hmm. but it's not our fault as much as it's not your fault. Right. So once we can get to that place where we acknowledge you're not to blame and I'm not to blame. Okay, cool. We know that we're not the enemy. Now that we know that you're not my enemy and I'm not your enemy, how are we going to work this thing out together? Yeah. Go ahead. It's a lot. No, it's a lot. It's just, how do we get to that place where the man is encouraging enough to support the woman who makes more money, or the woman who has a job and a part-time hustle, or the woman, whatever, if she has more than him, whatever that is, whether mm-hmm. it's degrees or money or whatever, how do we get to the place where the man is supportive and the woman isn't holding it over his head? Right. So what is one biggest piece of advice that you would give to women in order for us to move towards that synergy from the woman's perspective? What would you say the biggest thing that women can do in order to move us towards that collective community where we can start proactively taking advantage of the things that you and I are building and building for the black community? I know we can never do it when black men and black women are separated. We have to come back together and see each other, like you said, as partners as opposed to as enemies. So from the woman's perspective, what's your number one piece of advice for women to take the steps forward to get there? The same thing I would tell a man: be humble. Like if you are convincing yourself that you're going to be able to do this thing by yourself, that's exactly what you're going to be, by yourself. I don't know anyone successful who doesn't have a team. Whether it's that one significant other who is bringing you a cup of coffee when you're up at 3 a.m. writing a blog post and got to be to work at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's you and him side by side and y'all Sierra and Russell and y'all out here buying sports teams and everything else y'all doing.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what level of entrepreneurship, ownership, education, no matter what level you're on, be humble enough to admit that even if you think you don't need another partner, that that you acknowledge the fact that having someone else could be beneficial. Mm-hmm. Just even if it's somebody to bounce ideas off of. And that, you don't necessarily, maybe you don't need somebody who's going to contribute financially or do as much heavy lifting as you do. But just having a physical presence of another person who is rooting for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool for Issa Rae to say she's rooting for all black people, but sometimes I need to roll over and see the person who's rooting for me next to
me. Next to you. I feel you.
Next to me. Yeah. Plain and simple. So just be humble and admit that you can do it by yourself, but you don't have to.
Yeah. So for me, the advice that I would give to men, if I could give one piece of advice, would be change your criteria. Not your standards, but your criteria, because a lot of men, the criteria that we're focused on is got to do with either looks, or she's got this going on, or she's doing this for herself or that for herself, or her credit is this or her this is that, and blah, blah, blah. And we're looking for all of these physical things. I would say if you focus your number one criteria on paying attention to whether or not the person next to you sees your blind spots. Because when you do end up with a woman in your life who is telling you the things that you can't see and giving you advice that helps you make better decisions, first of all, as soon as you have that woman do the things that she said, even if y'all are just dating, just try it. Don't argue for why it should be this way or that way. If she out of the blue comes and tells you, I see this, I think you should do it that way, just say okay and try it, even though it won't make any sense to you. And when you do it and you see the results of it, you found somebody who can see your blind spots and who cares enough about you to try to guide you in the right direction. That's, to me, when that is your central criteria, you're going to find the right woman. Because just like there are men out here who they're just never going to get it, there are women out there who are just never going to get it. But the ones who want to get it can find each other if they have the right criteria. I just know from my perspective as a man, that criteria alone is one that it gets you to the core of who that person is immediately, right? Because you can't guide a person in the right direction with your intuition if your intuition is off. So that's where I go. Absolutely.
Yeah, now you're speaking from a perspective of being a married man. I'm speaking from the perspective of being a single black woman who's building the empire.
Right.
It gets exhausting having your head on a swivel when you're constantly looking for all of the blind spots. Doing that on your own, it gets exhausting. Can I do it? Absolutely. Because I have greatness in my veins. You know what I mean? Like, I know, excellence is written all over me. Can I do it by myself? Absolutely. But here and there have been moments in my life where I've had people who've come along, who've seen my blind spots. And it's been a blessing. Who's told me, hey, maybe you should change your platform to this, or maybe you should add this to your platform, or maybe you don't need to have that on your platform. And I'm like, okay. And I've taken what those people have said to me into consideration, and it has helped me to grow. And I know that I would like to have something like that on a more permanent basis. So I'm open to having, that black man, that strong black man in my life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So just a little bit of community advice for y'all out there listening. Now back to the economics. We didn't hit this earlier, but it was a part of the conversation, and I wanted to get this thrown in here before we break into how folks can be a part of the Minority Report TV show. You brought up Dr. Anderson talking about buy black, sell to everybody.
Absolutely.
So there's another part of this game that goes unnoticed by us a lot of times, or maybe it's unnoticed. It's not unnoticed. It's just not said. Of when people immigrate to the United States, they usually go and live anywhere but the black community. Mm-hmm. But they put their businesses in the black community. And then they siphon that money out, and they use black dollars to build their way into wealth. A lot of white-owned companies don't really do that, right? They just they've got enough space and area to do. We're just going to put our businesses where we are, and we've got enough, right? But immigrants who come to this nation with nothing come in and they set up their businesses in our communities, and they siphon our dollars out, and they build their wealth. That said, I think another huge component of buying black and building black wealth that gets missed is, we're constantly looking for black-owned businesses in the black community. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's where most black-owned businesses should be, or should we be expanding out?
Oh, no, we should definitely be expanding out because they're expanding out. Why not? No, we definitely should be expanding out. But there's a difference between when they expand out and when we expand out. They expand out because they know we're not united. They come into our neighborhoods because they know we're not going to kick them out. Period. We can't go into their neighborhoods because neighborhood watch is they coming, zoning's coming, county directors is coming. Like, they already know. And they're going to inspect us or cite us until we leave. They play the legal game. Before it was, oh no, we're going to just bomb your businesses. Mm-hmm. Or we're just going to burn them to the ground. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's inhumane. We're not going to do that anymore. So now we're going to institutionalize it. We're going to legalize running them out of business. They know that we're not going to do that. So they know that they can come and set their liquor stores up and their check cashing places and their chicken and waffle stands, and they don't even eat chicken and waffles themselves. Mm-hmm. They know that they can put in their beauty supply stores and sell products to us that they themselves don't even use. They know that. And they know that not only are they going to do it and we're going to buy it, we'll promote them before we'll promote ourselves. Yeah. They know, they fully know that we are not united. They know that we're not organized. They know that we can't commit to one another. They are fully aware. They know that we, and I'll just use the blogging, vlogging community, just that alone. They know that black girls are going to go into Korean beauty supply stores and buy weave and edge control and everything else, and they're going to go on YouTube and they're going to review those products, and then they're going to encourage other people to say, hey, I bought this at, and not even if it's a physical location, even the online platforms are Korean owned. But you don't see no resemblance of Korean people on those websites. They're black women. They know they can market to us, and they know that we are going to spend our dollars with them. Period. Point blank. So we have to first we have to learn the game, and then we have to play the game, and we have to flip it so that we're doing what they're doing, but not in a way that's malicious. You know what I mean? Like, we're not bombing them. From the time that we got here, we just wanted to live peaceably with them. Because we didn't have the means to go back home, and then those of us who did go back home, we know what happened to them. But still, like, we want to be here. We want the inclusion, and we want the diversity, and we want access to the same resources that they have. But there's no such thing as equality. It's never going to happen. We want equity, and I think that's the thing that we need to really focus on. How do we establish and how do we obtain equity? There's never going to be equality because there's, in any situation, there's always going to be, for example, a CEO and a janitor. Always. Always. Equity means that one day the janitor can become a CEO. You see what I'm saying? Right. And the janitor transitions from taking out the trash to, okay, I've stacked my money for 10 years. Now I'm ready to go into business for myself, build a legacy, bring my sons into the business. I'm ready to go to the next level and franchise. That's what equity is. So there's nothing wrong, because we all know everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. That's fine. But we want to be able to grow our businesses to scale to the point where we're able to hire other people.
Yep.
We want equity. We want to be able to take our dollars from our Black owned businesses and put them into Black banks, so that they will have the, that they will have the means to then lend and create CDs and other, wealth building services for us.
Right.
That's what we want. We want equity. This whole equality thing, miss me with that.
So that, yeah, and that most definitely is not going to be given to us, right? We have to create it. We have to take it.
We have to create it.
Looking at that, building businesses that are physically located within the Black community. Nobody's going into the Black community to buy things except Black people, right?
Absolutely.
So we have to figure out ways to get our businesses established, physically established in areas where the money is at, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we've got to do. And somehow, and that's the problem, is having to have our I's dotted and our T's crossed, because we know that the inspections will come and the liens will come and everything is going to come, but we've got to be able to withstand to get to that point. So it's a really frustrating thing, but what it all comes back to, right, is ain't nobody going to do it for us but us. And if we ain't even going to do it for ourselves, then how can we build the future? So let's talk about how people can start building that future. If you have a Black-owned business and you would like to be featured on Minority Report TV Show.com, how do you get in touch with Ms. LeShelle Smith?
First, I want to circle back just briefly as to what we were saying. Okay, so we're talking about buy Black and selling to everyone else. Their end game has always been to sell to us, always. Because at one point when we're, the Montgomery boycott and we want to sit where we want to sit on the bus, they didn't allow us to sit where we wanted to sit out of the kindness of their own heart. They realized, okay, if they want to spend their money with us, let them. Period. Right? We don't necessarily have to establish our businesses in their communities. If we just kept our dollars where we were or where we are, we wouldn't have as many problems as we have. We're talking we need to circulate before we even think about, okay, I want to have my brick and mortar store in a white community, or I want to acquire more white customers. Build within a community that we already have, because we have the means. We have the spending dollar. And, there's dialogue back and forth as to whether that $1 trillion is real or not. We have the means. We go out of our way. You know what time of year it is right now. And there's a lot of people who look like me, who look like you, who are going to forego utilities, car notes, and everything else to have something under that Christmas tree. The money is there. How we spend it, whether we spend it wisely or not, is a whole nother conversation. But the spending dollars are already in our community. So we don't necessarily have to go out. We can, especially when we're in, specialty industries or even more professional industries, lawyers, doctors, mechanics, things of that nature. You can have as many Black and white customers or as shades in a rainbow. But for the most part, I think we need to really just focus on circulating the dollar within our own community. So with that being said, if you do want to be a guest on my platform and you want me to help you circulate those dollars, then you definitely just want to go directly to my website, www.minorityreporttvshow.com. Right at the top of the screen in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a link that says Work with MRTV. Click on that link. Read the information that's there. Tell me what's extraordinary about your business. Tell me what sets your shea butter apart from somebody else's shea butter over here. I want to be able to tell your story. And that's what my platform is truly, truly about, is telling stories. I tell people all the time, what Oprah's book club did for authors is what I want to do for Black-owned businesses. I want to tell your story. I don't want to just talk about your product. It's $3.99 and it's 7 ounces or whatever. I want to talk about your journey, your hardships, what you've learned in being a business owner, and how you can encourage other business owners. I want to tell your story. If you want to participate in the Ultimate Black Love Gift Guide, my Black-owned business coupon book, you want to go to a separate website, you want to go to www.bobcouponbook.com. Again, it gives you a whole explanation about Black Love Day, what it is, how it was founded. There's also another link on there that will show you every single business that's participating, every discount that's being offered, and there's a third link for you to submit your business if you want to participate.
Okay, doke. And then for those people who want to purchase the Ultimate Black Love gift guide, you can purchase it now, and all those coupons will still be good through February 13th. And then you've got the one that's going to be coming for February 13th, 2019, all the way through February 12th of 2020. So where do people go to buy the book? How much does it cost? What's the deal? What are they getting for it?
You can buy the book at bobcouponbook.com. The links are everywhere for you to buy the book. You buy it, again, it's $3.99. I am a tax-paying entity, so depending on what state you live in, there may be tax associated, but it's $4. It's $3.99. It's a PDF download. As soon as you pay for it, you get the download, and it's hyperlinked. You can click on whatever link for whatever business you want to go to, and you plug it in and use the coupon code, and you go for it. It's all yours.
Wow. So see, earlier when you were saying it's $3.99, I was thinking it's $399, and I was thinking there was value there. So $3.99, that's even better.
$3.99. That's
wow.
it. Yes.
And that's over 70 businesses with discounts on every single business, products and services.
Absolutely.
You can't make it easier for people.
I try. I really do. I try to make it simple. I try to make it plain for people. But yeah, I mean, again, if there's businesses out here that you've never heard of, you've never, you've seen them on Instagram, or you've seen them on, Facebook, or you've seen them on Twitter, and you say, oh, that t-shirt's dope, or, oh, I like this person's artwork, or, oh, I'm really feeling this person's song, let me go and download it. But for whatever reason, you're hesitant. I know I've bought a lot of things online that is still sitting in a shopping cart, because I looked, and then I was just like, I don't feel like paying $4.99 for shipping. And I gave up. But the coupon, as soon as I was getting ready to click off, or as soon as I was getting ready, something distracted me and I went to go do something else, there's a pop-up. Hey, sign up for my newsletter, get 10% off. And I'm like, oh, I'm back.
Right.
Back. And that kind of thing is what I'm trying to do with the coupon book. I'm trying to take all those kinds of discounts and put them in one central location for you to try, as many businesses as you can, or as many businesses as you're interested in. Think of it as the Black version of Groupon.
I like it. And then obviously once you buy this book, which everybody listening, spend the $3.99, get the book that's going to take you through February 12th, and then turn around and spend another $4 to get you the coupons for the next year. Do that right now. bobcouponbook.com.
Yes.
Now, with those things said, LeShelle, it brings us to our final question of the night. We have been talking nothing but community, Black economics, Black politics, Black love. What is your number one piece of advice for the listening community of Buy Black Podcast, the Voice of Black Business, as a whole?
Number one piece of advice. If you've had a bad experience with a Black-owned business, do not give up on them. Do not. We have been, first, socially conditioned to think the least of our own people, and we shouldn't. Second, I get a lot of commentary about pricing of products from Black-owned businesses. Why would I pay $60 for this sweatshirt from a Black-owned business when I can get the sweatshirt for $12.99 at Walmart? Yeah, well, I need you to really consider the fact that we don't have access to manufacturing and distribution. And when we do, they charge us more than they charge everybody else. And those things cost. If it's not a shirt that I'm making myself and I'm buying it wholesale from someone else, I have to include that cost in the pricing. We're marginalized, period, point blank. They are not going to make anything that we do easy for us. And that means providing products and services to our own people, plain and simple. And that is why you see businesses, quote unquote, sell out. I was today years old when I learned that Tristan Walker sold Bevel, and for years he was saying that he'd never sell.
I
He'd
did
never
not know that
sell
Bevel sold. Didn't know that.
to Procter and Gamble.
Wow.
And from the very, like, almost from the onset, they had been after him. Like, I remember Schick, whoever Schick is owned by, they had, was after Bevel or whatnot, and he sold. And he said that he sold, or he's a subsidiary of Procter and Gamble, for the same exact reasons that Lisa Price sold Carol's daughter, for the same reasons that Shea Moisture was sold to Unilever, whoever owns them now. They want to be able to expand. They want to be able to, grow their brand, offer more products, different product lines, so forth and so on. That they call this an investment. And I mean, I understand why, they sell. At the end of the day, it comes down to money. But if you want to take your product from good to great, it requires investment. And if we don't support our own businesses, that investment, guess what? Is going to come from somebody who does not look like us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we could have a whole other show
about
that.
Discussion about that.
Because my opinion from the world of the business owner side is no other group of business owners in the world is demanded by their constituents to own that brand for their entire life, right? Every other business owner can go into business with the sole purpose of saying, eventually, I want to take the payout and I want to go live on a beach somewhere. And Absolutely. That's part of the huge, the draw of being a business owner is eventually I can sell this thing and I can be rich and just chill. But we as black businesses, when we have a good black business, we expect them to always own it. And if you're going to sell it, only sell it to somebody else who's black, which there ain't that many people who's living in that air. Absolutely. And so that's it's just a catch-22 after catch-22 after catch-22.
It is. It absolutely is.
Right? I'm 100% in the park of, I want a business owner to be able to make that decision of, I am selling this, or we're going public. Right. It doesn't always have to be I'm giving it to my kid, because not everybody goes in business for that. But I also understand the standpoint of you grow with a brand, you love a brand, you've been with them from the beginning, their product has been on point, and then as soon as that sale happens, the formula changes, it's not working anymore. Mm-hmm. The marketing is now completely away from the people it was for, and you feel abandoned as a consumer. I mean, I completely get that. So it's just catch-22 after catch-22 after catch-22.
It's absolutely catch-22 after catch-22. So that, I mean, but that is my advice. Like, don't give up on a brand because you feel as though the price is too much, or you had a bad experience, or because they've sold. Like, just don't give up, because they don't have to sell, or they can't get better if you don't invest in them.
Yes.
And if you're not going to invest, hush.
And well, the investment can be when I have that bad experience, I'm going back to that business and I'm going to tell them as much as I'll go and tell 1,000 people about my bad experience, instead of telling that 1,000 people, tell the business owner about that bad experience and how to improve it, because that's an investment as well, right? That's an investment into that business's growth.
And there's levels to this, and we're all growing and we're all learning. And if you're not there yet to the point where it's like, oh, I'm willing to try this product, you can at least like they post on Facebook, or, retweet their, whatever they have on Twitter, or, like, you can at least, like, do what you can do where you are with what you have when it comes to supporting black owned businesses.
Yep.
Plain and simple. You get poor service from AT&T and you paying that $120 every month like clockwork.
You only paying $120?
I was being humble.
Oh, okay. Like, cause I know they're hitting us for way more than that. Let me get on your plan. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you get your car service where you get your car service, you get your gas where you get your gas service. You are one of those people buying Chinese food from behind the plexiglass. Don't front. Be honest about where you're spending your dollars, but don't be so particular where you're giving all of these social graces to people who don't look like you, and you are being hard as hell on the people who do look like you. Don't be that consumer. Just don't. And if you need additional education, that's what they got your podcast for. That's what you have my YouTube channel for.
Love it, love it.
Love it.
And that YouTube channel, everybody, as you can see on your screen, is youtube.com/C/Minority Report TV show. And as always, you can find our shows at buyblackpodcast.com and everywhere that you can find your podcasts. LeShelle, this has been an amazing conversation. Even though the government jumped in, they saw that we was giving that good information and was like, nope, breaking it down.
Real.
We're done.
It is real.
But
they shut it. But we back.
We came back, and we came back strong. So thank you so much for your time and just sharing with me tonight everything. This is a conversation that's been a long time coming on By Black Podcast, and I'm glad we got to have it together.
Yep, I'm glad. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everybody who's watching. I appreciate you. Love you so much.
Indeed. All right. Well, that is it. And we will catch you guys in the next episode. For everybody who was in the chat, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, being out there. And for anybody who jumped back in with the second iteration, somebody came and saw that we were giving good information out, and they decided to shut it down. And we just came right on back and came strong. So thank y'all for being out there, and we are out.
We're out.